Hello, everybody. Hey, thanks for jumping on with me for a few minutes here. Today, I wanted to share some thoughts I've had recently about trauma, grief, and a longing for home. So, I've thought about this off and on for a while, but the thing that really started this recently was when I was cleaning out the garage. And I was coming across all these boxes of old stuff, looking through them. There were a bunch of pictures. I was remembering some things that seem so recent, but they've been so long ago. And I'm like, wow, aside from my memory, what I've got is a some old boxes in the garage. It's like that. That's kind of my life could be summed up by the contents of these old boxes in the garage in a large way. And I started thinking about that, and I just realized after a while that I was just feeling so sad, and I had to get out of there and just get somewhere else and get into the moment because I was really feeling just extremely intensely sad about this. And it got me thinking, and I thought, boy, a lot of us are just carrying this sadness over things, this sadness about life, sadness about our present day circumstances. It's like life didn't turn out the way we wanted it to be. It's like the what ifs. What if I'd have done this? What if I'd have made that decision? What if this had happened? What if this had not happened? It's tough. And I started thinking about that, and it's like, wow, there can be so much grief with that. And then I thought, well, that's actually what trauma does to us. Trauma, I think, is actually causes a grief response, as well as other things that I'll get into in future episodes. But it causes a grief response. I'm like, wow. And again, I'm. This is not a professional opinion. This is not medical advice. This is just my opinion. It's not a psychiatric opinion. So please get help with this if you need it. But these are my opinions for what I've been through personally for 56 years now. Um, but this response, trauma, the difficulties, the things we just and everything's not PTSD. Not that requires a clinical diagnosis, and they have to check certain boxes of things that have happened and things that have occurred. But there's trauma in all of us. This is a traumatic world. If you haven't recognized it yet, it's a traumatic world that we're living in. There is severe trauma all over the place. And then there's not as severe trauma, but you can't compare traumas. If it's traumatic to you, it's traumatic. If it was negative things from your peers or your siblings or your parents or your home life or whatever that happened, it doesn't have to be as severe as somebody else's for it to be traumatic to you. I fully believe that. And when there's that trauma that happens, or the things that are difficult in your lives, maybe it's your own decisions, maybe it's something that somebody else, their opinion of you, or something that they imposed on you, or that was imposed on you through life. Um, when that happens, it causes a grief, and I think that grief is really a longing for a home that isn't. Either maybe a longing for the home we had, or a longing for the home we would have liked to have. I think that's a big thing. I can think back on my home experience, and there were just several precipitating things at different times that just really put me on a really difficult trajectory for a while. And it just didn't have that feel of home, that sense of home, that belonging, that comfort, that relaxation, that acceptance, just to live from that, to make decisions from that. It just wasn't that way for me, and maybe not for you either. I think more people than not probably could say the same thing. My home was not the home that I would like to have had. And that, like I said in my book, Who Says So? I said, if home didn't feel like home, we will search all our lives for a sense of home. Whatever promises that kind of home, if it's a person, if it's a place, if it's a thing, we will seek those things. We will be obsessed with those things. We will even be addicted to those things, or escape. Just escape from it. Just like, okay, this world's terrible. I just want to escape. I want it through mental escape, like I did for a long time. It could be drugs or alcohol, or through, some people just try to escape it permanently, by taking their own lives. And it's just the trauma produces grief, and the grief is based on a longing for home. If you've had a tremendously difficult situation, which many people have, unfortunately, it's like, wow, we didn't want that situation. We wanted something that felt like home, something that felt comfortable, that felt secure, where we belonged, where we were valued, where we were cherished, where we were loved. We wanted that. Not this other stuff just feels so opposite that. And as a result, causes us deep, deep grief in our souls and hearts and minds. And especially as we think about it, and we need to get some different thoughts. But and then that trauma just does that to us. So, as I was thinking about that, it occurred to me from a spiritual perspective too, because that is the helpful. There are other things that are helpful, but this is the preeminently helpful thing, I think. And it's like I was thinking, so all the grief, the trauma produces grief, and the grief is a longing for home. But I thought, really the home in the little house that I grew up in and lived in, that is really, home is meant to be a picture of our larger home, of our home in God's heart, in His kindness, in His love. And if you grew up feeling like that's not the case from either your family, like I did, or your church, like I did, or your school, like I did, if there's something like that that doesn't make you feel that way, then you're going to look for something that does, or you're going to look for an exit ramp. So we need that sense of a larger home. And I feel like in my life, for almost 56 years now, God's been trying to restore my image of Him to be one that is the home He really is. Because I thought, no, He's not. He's just judging and rejecting and whatnot. And you get so much of that. Religious structures, like I've talked about before, they can really make you feel like you're not doing enough, you're not enough, you're not this, you're not that. And God's like, no, you are enough because you're mine. You're my creation. You're my child. I love you just like a good, good parent, like more than their own life. He's like, I'll give my life for you because that's how much I love you and I want you to be with me. I know you've had trauma. I know you've had grief. I know you're longing for home. I know you've looked for it in all the wrong places. And I understand that, and I'm taking all of that on me. I forgive it all. I understand it all. And I care for you more than that. I'm taking it on me and I'm taking it away. And I just want to restore you to your true home, to your home in my heart, where you can, even in this crazy world that we're living in, where you can rest and abide securely and be with me and know my heart for you, that this is always my heart for you. It will never change. Circumstances change, moods change, some are good, some are not so good. It's like, but my heart is never going to change. I remain this way, whether you can see it or not. You can trust that that's my heart for you, and that that's our true home that we're really longing for. Our desire for an earthly home is just our desire for that. It's a reflection of that. Our earthly home was meant to be a reflection of that. Parents were meant to reflect that heart, that goodness, and that's what we want. That's what we all want, and we're made to reflect that to each other. We're made to have His home in our heart, and then to bring that home to other people. Now, this is a tough day. People have been severely traumatized and made some really difficult decisions as a result, that have set them on a difficult life path, and they don't want to hear. They don't want to hear anything to the contrary. They can be very confident. We can be I know I was for a long time, very confident that I'm just moving in a right direction. I've got it all figured out, and I'm going to beat this thing. But it's like, no, that desire for home is still in our hearts. And God's got that home for us. Like Moses, he led the children of Israel out of Egypt through the Red Sea, and for like 40 years through the wilderness. They made that into a really long trip because they didn't believe God. And at the end of that, though, he wrote Psalm 90, and he said, "You have been our dwelling place in every generation, our dwelling place." The next psalm, which Moses may have written, we don't know for sure, Psalm 91 says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High will abide under the shadow of the Almighty. We're dwelling in that secret place, the secret place of His heart and His heart for us. And I looked it up recently, and from the Gospel of John unto 1 John, the first epistle of John, the word abide occurs 50 times. There is something, it's like this religion isn't like just get busy, look busy, do a bunch of stuff. It's like, no, let me abide in your heart. That's what people need. That's what people are going to be drawn to. That's what all of our souls, it's like we are aching for that. We are longing for that. We want that true home. And May God grant that to us for every person here. I just pray over us all right now in Jesus' name. Father, that you just pour out this awareness of your true heart and your true home on us. Grant us that home that we've been longing for and looking for all our lives. And we've looked for it in lots of wrong places and people, places, and things. And even like the people that reflect your image, they might be made in your image, but they are not you, and they can't love us like you can, like we wanted them to. And a lot of times we're just actually using them, if we're honest about it, to try to get that sense of home. And but we need that from you, so we can be that to other people, so we can look at things and places in this life rightly, not make it our God to try to satisfy our hearts, but look at things to appreciate and to love. And so, Father, I ask that you would pour that out on us. Just pour that Spirit out. Saturate us with that. Heal our hearts. Let us bring all of the grief, all of the pain, all of the disappointment, and discouragement to you, and just be honest with you about that, and just be in your arms, and let you just hold us and put our hearts back together in your heart that you've always had for us, in Jesus' name. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this thread helps you and is encouraging to you. If there's anything I can do, just drop a note in the comments and let me know. Let me know your thoughts on this and where you are with this. And until next time, God bless you. God bless your heart with his heart, even as we walk through this crazy world and through this very challenging life. I hope you haven't experienced that yet, but if you haven't, I imagine it's probably coming, because I don't think any of us miss that. And so that's why we need to have a secure, stable place to dwell and to abide and to be safe and to be loved. So thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.